Hi, my name is Caroline Miller, and today I'm talking to Tom Schiltz, the Youth Services Librarian at the Capital Area District Library in Okemos, CADL for short. We're going to be talking about March is Reading Month and what the Okemos Library has in store for it.
Well, in ordinary non-COVID times, we do a lot of programming, both here in the library and out in the community too. Places like Edgewood Early Child Education Center. We had one at Whole Foods going on, and several here in the building. And now I'm talking story times. We do other programs too, and we had, oh gosh, 3, 4, every week we had 4 story times here in the building. And now we're doing them virtually, and I do like 2 a month. So that's a big difference. But besides programs, we also do collection development, which is where you buy books, you will replace books, you kind of take, think about where your collection's going and what books you want to have. A lot of those things, I'm trying to think if I've forgotten something that's obvious, but I don't think so.
And what's your favorite part about your job?
I have to say it's story time. And that's why the COVID thing has been really hard for me. Now, I don't want to whine about it because I've been getting paid, and being able to connect with the families through virtually is a nice thing, but it's like the difference, I think, if you're an actor, between doing live theater and doing movies or television. You don't have that group there to work with right in front of you, so you can see what's working, and you can respond to them and they can respond to you and all of that. So it's a big difference. So the story time, yeah, it's my favorite thing, and I really do miss it a lot. And I'm just aching to get back, have people in the building again for that. Although I love the collection stuff too, and recommending books for people, which is called Reader's Advisory, which I've been able to do to some degree through what's called our a grab and go curbside pickup service. People will come to the library to pick up their holds, and they can also say, well, will you select some books for my kid? She likes fairies and princesses and STEM concepts. So you'll go and you'll find her some books that that apply to all those things. So that's a lot of fun right now. I have to say, right now during this kind of COVID lockdown period, doing the grab and go is probably my favorite thing. I mean, I like doing the story time virtually, but it's nothing like real life.
Yeah, of course. Well, hopefully you can get back into the building and do story time in person.
Yeah.
But today we're talking about how March is National Reading Month. And so
Right.
I just want to know, what is the Cattle Okemos Library doing in terms of March is Reading Month? How are you guys celebrating or engaging readers?
Well, in ordinary times, we'll have cattle will pay, or no, I think, is it cattle or is it the intermediate school district? But anyway, the cattle libraries will have costume characters come around from picture books. There's the Clifford, there's a mouse from Mouse Wants a Cookie, there's the Cat in the Hat, several of those. But clearly, since we can't have programs in person, we're not doing that this year. There's also a central event that Cattle co-sponsors, where a lot of the characters come and families go see that. And again, we can't do that this year. So this year, again, we're concentrating on doing things, distance and through virtual world. We're having a March is Reading Month calendar that the families can come and pick up. And there's little tasks that the kids do each day, and you complete them, and they get a prize at the end. And a lot of it has to do with early literacy. It really is aimed for younger kids, because CADL is really making a big push for early literacy. And so this is part of that. Early literacy, that's the 5 practices of talking, writing, reading, singing, and playing. And these are the things. Early literacy is what you need to know before you read, the skills you need to have in place, so that when you hit that moment where you're ready to read, boom, you can do it. So this is really tied in with early literacy as well.
Great. And why is it so important to get people motivated and engaged to participate in March's Reading Month?
Well, certainly for kids, that during this period before their during this early literacy period, this is when their brains are developing, and they've developed through these practices of early literacy. And if they're not exposed to language, if they're not exposed to pictures, if they're not exposed to books, if they're not exposed to interactive one-on-one play with another person, especially an adult, if they miss these really enriching experiences, there's a lot of synapses in their brains that actually don't develop. And once that window's closed, they don't develop later on. So it really is important that they do this work at that point, when they're young. And of course, for older kids, it's good too. Reading is an absolute good. You can read any book you want. You can read, well, this metaphor would date me, but you can read the telephone book. Well, telephone books don't really exist, but you could read anything, and that's a valuable experience. It's an intrinsic good just in and of itself. So read whatever you want. For older kids, for adults, it expands your mind. It helps you grow your vocabulary. If you're a senior person, it helps keep your brain sharp, too. And it's fun also, probably the thing that would surprise people about public libraries in general, or at least the people who don't use libraries very much, I think they still think that for public libraries, this is a place you're going to go and do a lot of research and things like that, which for some libraries it might be true. But for a lot of public libraries, including us, what people are really looking for here is interaction with the staff, interaction with other people, and leisure reading materials. Now, that's not exclusive, but that really is the huge thing now. And they can get that through books. They can get that through ebooks. Now, if you're an adult, ebook versus print, it's about the same, And in fact, during this COVID period, there have been, our checkout for e-materials, both ebooks and e-audio has just exploded. But for kids, it's not so much. Yes, it increased, but print really is the key thing for kids, at least until they hit about 13 or 14, because there's nothing like having the book, sharing the book with the child. It's tangible, it's tactile. You can point at the letters, you can read backwards, you can read forwards, you can play with the book, which is another thing that when you're working with kids, it helps them learn. You just say, hey, wait, that book's upside down. Is that right? That's not right. Turn that over. Okay. So the book is just the physical format of the book is really important for the younger kids.
And to go off of that, what tips can you give parents and caregivers who have those younger children or loved ones that they want them to participate in March's Reading Month?
I'd say number one, if your child has a favorite book and he or she wants to read it 10 times a day, that's all right. It might be boring to you as the adult, but the kid is getting something out of that each of those times. The child, first the rhythm, they're learning how language works, they're learning how sentences are structured, they're starting to identify, look at, so that sound corresponds to this letter on that page, right? Now, but if you want to break up the boredom a little, expose them to some other kinds of books, check out books here. One of the things that I think the public library, at least for families with kids, is this is a place you try out books, okay? So try out a bunch of different picture books. And if your kid really loves one, that's the one you buy. Go to your Schuler's, your local bookstore, even go to Amazon if you have to, that's, fine. Buy that book. That'll be the book your child will want to keep. And that's what you do here at the library, is try stuff out and find the ones you love, and then buy those as keepers, That's a lot cheaper than having to try to buy all of your own. But, have fun with the books. Don't think that the books all have to be super serious. If your child likes wacky books, read wacky books, read silly books, read books about dinosaurs. But also at the same time, okay, you're say your kid likes Thomas the Tank Engine. Okay. Well, will your child also like nonfiction books about trains? Will your child like Donald Cruise Freight Train book? Probably so. See, so you go with something they like, and then you can help them expand that. So yeah, but the big thing is have fun with it. There's really no wrong way to share a book with a child. There is really no wrong way to do it. So do it.
Thanks for those. And I'm just wondering personally, do you have a favorite book or books that you like to read during March's Reading Month?
The reason March, the Education Association, other entities have chosen March for Reading Month is because it was Dr. Seuss's birthday, March 2nd. And I have to say, my favorite Seuss book is one of the older ones, the ones before he started doing the easy readers, Cat in the Hat and so on, but one called The King's Stilts. And what it really is about how to properly balance your life between work and play. Because see, this king, is he on an island? Yeah, but anyway, they're surrounded by water and they have these trees all around there and they have to keep those tree roots together or else they're going to get flooded. And so the king's job is to inspect these trees, okay? And one of his counselors said, the king should be doing that all the time. He shouldn't be having fun because the king also liked to run around on these stilts just for fun. So anyway, and so the king tries that and then he's really gloomy and he's, he forgets his job and all that. So it's really about work-life balance. And the guy, I think it's from the 40s or 50s, right? So that's my favorite Seuss book. It's a longer one. So, you're not going to do it with a preschooler. But that's my favorite Seuss book. Other books that I really like a lot. I love Jules Pfeiffer's Bark George. I love David Shannon's Duck on a Bike. I love almost anything done by Jan Thomas. Jory John I'm liking a lot these days. Mo Willems, who's really the Dr. Seuss of the 21st century, is really good. Dan Santat is just a really great illustrator. Kadir Nelson, he makes everybody looks like heroes. It's great. So there's so many. There's just so many.
That does sound like a good library to have. So are there any upcoming events that community members should be on the lookout for that are either in person or still online?
Well, we're continuing our virtual story times and we have 5 a week now. And various people throughout the CADL system will do them. I do them. Miss Kate from Hazlitt does some. Miss Lindsay in Mason, she is really good at doing in the virtual environment, but there's plenty of other people in here who are really good at it too. So we have the online story times that are happening. I have a virtual homeschool program that I'm doing twice a month. I don't know if you see it behind my shoulders, but we just finished up some of our programming for Lunar New Year. See there back there, that happened. And we're getting our schedule together for what we're going to be doing in the summer. And we hope that in the summer, we're going to be able to do some actual in-person live programs outside, social distance, You're battling the elements, but we'll do our best. So they should be looking forward to what we're going to be doing for this summer too, because we'll be coming up with that pretty soon as well.
That's awesome. That's a lot to look forward to.
Yeah.
Those are all the questions that I have for you today. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, I just say that I just like to say that, format doesn't matter for your reading. If you like to listen to books, that's just as valuable as reading them. If you're an adult, for kids, it's a different thing. But just doing the reading, experiencing the reading in some way is really a helpful thing to do. And people think libraries are obsolete. Some people do, but they're absolutely not. During this pandemic, people have come to us to pick up books at the door, to get their ebooks, and they've been downloading these by the tens of thousands, and they're really eager to get back in here, because it really is kind of a unique space in the community, somewhere you can go. You don't have to buy a cup of coffee to be here. It's a place to meet. It's a place to be quiet. It's a place to get things, and people really are missing that. So I just want to tell people, hold on, we're coming back.
Thank you, Tom, for speaking to me about the Okemos Library and its plans for March's Reading Month.